Allow me first to warmly welcome to Cyprus the UK Minister for Europe, Sir Alan Duncan, and wish him a fruitful stay. We already had a short tête-à-tête meeting, and we had consultations with our delegations. We discussed our bilateral relations and our strategic partnership, which has been growing stronger and deeper in the last couple of years. With the UK, we are already cooperating in crisis management, humanitarian operations, as well as in finding best ways to deal with growing asymmetric threats. Our bilateral cooperation enjoys a dynamic and constantly growing coordination on several fronts, and I am pleased to observe that there is a momentum and willingness from both sides to keep expanding it. I also conveyed our appreciation for the support provided to us during the firefighting efforts of the last devastating fires in the mountains of Solea in June. Cyprus appreciates UK's immediate response to our request for the dispatch of firefighting aircraft and a support team. I further briefed the Minister on the latest developments in the current negotiating process for finding a solution to the Cyprus problem and the role the UK can play in facilitating the process. Of course, the briefing will continue with the negotiator, Mr. Mavrogiannis, and of course, it will be culminated with the President of the Republic, who will be receiving the Minister. Last but not least, we discuss the situation as it evolves after the referendum in the United Kingdom. On the European level, we need to launch an internal process of introspection in order to find the root causes of this feeling of alienation of our citizens and the perceived absence of democratic transparency and accountability, so that we can achieve a better and more efficient Europe and bridge the serious perception gap that exists between Brussels and our citizens. On the bilateral level, we look at the post-referendum period as a chance to deepen and strengthen our relationship even further. Our authorities are already closely looking into all aspects of our bilateral affairs, and we look forward to working very closely with the United Kingdom in order to redefine the web of our relations. We believe that London should be afforded time to determine how it envisages its future relationship with the EU, but the sooner this is determined, the better for all of us, as the uncertainty is not without consequences for both. The future cooperation between the UK and the EU will be negotiated at that level, but the special link between Cyprus and the United Kingdom will have to be dealt with bilaterally.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here in Cyprus. I have only recently become the Minister for Europe in the new government under Prime Minister Theresa May, but I'm very pleased to be in this role, and amongst my responsibilities is Cyprus, and this is very much at the top of my agenda and the agenda of Her Majesty's government, and there is nothing we would like to see more than a successfully concluded settlement to bring unity across the whole island. So I wish you well in the talks that are going on at the moment. We, as the United Kingdom, will not interfere in the detail, but we will be there encouraging and assisting wherever we are asked to assist. And I can undertake here today to devote as much time and effort as I possibly can as the Minister to anything that can assist the progress of these discussions. You, sir, also mentioned Britain leaving the European Union. In a democracy, when the people speak, you have to listen and accept the outcome, and the verdict was that we will leave, and so we will leave the European Union. but do so in a way which I hope keeps the United Kingdom as an outward-looking, globally minded country which keeps our friends, our relationships, and indeed, in many instances, deepens our bilateral friendships and relations, however deep they might be already. And on that list will be Cyprus. So we are very mindful of the concerns you have about your own position on our departure from the EU, but we will be in regular discussion, and I very much appreciate the manner in which you say that we should be allowed a bit of time to try and shape our departure. I think that is exactly right, because it is a very complex process of disentangling ourselves from our current membership, but in ensuring that we can maintain prosperity, openness, trade, and the sort of friendships we want. So I look forward in my 3-day visit here to meeting the most important people across Cyprus, both in government and in the negotiations that are taking place. And I hope this will mark the first of many visits for me coming here. And thank you once again for your very warm welcome this morning.
Thank you very much, Minister. Do you have questions?
As I'm sure everyone appreciates, it would be inappropriate for me to go into great detail. It is for those who are negotiating between themselves to set the detail and the terms. We as the United Kingdom do of course have sovereign bases and are a guarantor, but it is our purpose not to interfere too much, not to instruct, not to be bossy, but to do what we possibly can to support and assist where we are asked. So that is what we will do, and over the next few weeks, and however long it takes, we will work very closely with everyone involved to make sure that we are a constructive influence behind the process, which seems to be making very good and encouraging progress.
What describes being constructive on the ongoing negotiations?
Well, Britain remains an important diplomatic influence. This will need international support, I'm sure. There will be a point where a measure of financial support is going to be required. So everything we can do to assist the participants in bringing together any kind of useful support for this process is exactly what we will do.
On the status, actually, if the European acquis will still be implemented the day after Brexit.
I'm sorry, say that again.
If the European acquis will still be implemented in the sovereign British bases after Brexit. Yeah.
Look, I think that any question of detail at the moment about Brexit cannot be answered with certainty, because it's part of the entire broad discussion we are having to have on many levels on this very, very complex subject. So you have here an honest politician who is telling you the truth, that there is no easy answer at the moment. We only had the referendum a few weeks ago. We've just said we had to choose a new Prime Minister. So we have a new government with new ministers and indeed new government departments. So we are all working very closely together in London to shape the agenda and the priorities and the details, and these will take some time to emerge. So there are no certain easy yes, no, definite answers at this stage. You are. In the same way as you are repeating yourself, so will I, which is that this is part of the discussions that will inevitably form part of the negotiations, and I'm not in a position to give a straightforward, easy, detailed answer at this stage.
Okay. Minister, one more question about Brexit. During the negotiations, the bilateral ones, I believe, that you will have with the Republic of Cyprus, will you take into consideration the right of family reunion, of British coming to Cyprus to their British families, and Cypriots having the possibility to have a family reunion with their Cypriot British citizens living in the UK.
Any such question is tied up in the rights of movement and everything else within the EU. So again, it's not something where I can give just a detailed answer at this stage, but the question of who resides in which country across the European Union and the rights of movement and association and all that kind of stuff that they will have is there for discussion. But what is true at the moment is that we will remain part of the European Union and a full member until such time as we leave, which means that in the meantime, nothing changes, and all the sort of rights that and legal governance, if you like, that exists at the moment remains in place until such time as we have actually left.
We had a very good talk with the minister during our talks. On the number of concerns that we have, I am optimistic that we're going to find the rightful and satisfactory solutions, whether within the agreement that is going to follow between the European Union and the United Kingdom, or bilaterally. So don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed.